thing.
Uh-huh.
And like recently, I think I kind of hit a wall with my inconsistency problems, because before I've kind of been able to always climb, sort of up and down, but in the end, I mean, I climbed from gold to masters
Nice.
in 60 years of Overwatch. So yeah, big grind.
Makes sense. Okay. And so you have been playing for a while then, because that was going to be my next question.
Yeah. I started in like Christmas 2016 is when I first got the Overwatch.
Okay. Makes sense. I see that you're a tank main. How long have you been tank player?
I would say from half 2017, because I used to be a Genji one trick, kind of.
Haha, welcome to the club. Everybody has that phase, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What got you into tank?
Very simple. I was very good at Reinhardt. Then I got a really good game on Winston. Then I got a really good game on Orisa, and suddenly I was good at main tanks. So
makes sense.
I stuck with them.
Makes sense. And you've been enjoying, obviously, the process since then, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Also,
no, go ahead.
Also, a friend of mine used to be a very good Zarya, so we being able to tank duo on Rise Zarya or like Monkey Zarya, that was great. So
yeah, makes sense.
Enjoyable.
Okay, makes sense. So, what do you think about solo tanking in Overwatch 2?
Honestly, it's very cool because I can be that like unkillable fortress kind of thing, where I'm like this incredibly big dude who does almost everything. Kind of like a MMO raid boss kind of thing.
Yeah, makes sense. It is a lot of fun. Okay, looking through your form here. Obviously, it's been about 4 weeks since you filled out the form, so if anything's changed, just let me know.
Yep.
What do you hope to get out of the session? Retaining masters, hopefully not falling back to diamond. How's that gone?
I have actually fallen back to diamond twice. I'm currently master 5.
Okay.
Like right after submitting, I fell to diamond 2, then got on a hot streak and went back to master 4, then fallen back again on diamond 1, and now I'm master 4.
Okay, makes sense.
5.
Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I've noticed things in Overwatch are a lot more tenuous. You have a tendency to kind of like go back and forth a little bit, just based off the nature of the game. It reacts to loss and win strings more aggressively, and I think it's intentional. I think it's trying to like prevent these unranked GMs foolishness. I probably think it's also, if you go on these massive tilt streaks, that it doesn't keep you at the same rank for forever. So if you, like, let's say, tilt Q and you lose like 5-6 games in a row, it's like, all right, well, you're clearly not performing well, so back down to bronze you go. For better or worse, that seems to be what's going on. So okay, makes sense. Aside from hero pool I've listed, I've never given up on learning any tank hero except for Ball. I've accepted I'm trash to him, and Hog, same thing, but I also don't like him at all. Okay, so you're kind of a jack of all trades with tank outside of those two. Yeah,
to be honest, my kind of role model would be someone from the Mayhem. Like, my goal would be becoming a ranked someone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we'll talk about hero pool in a little bit here. So in terms of training schedule right now, how much are you playing on average per day, per week? What is that looking like?
So on average, I usually play during the evening because, university. So it's basically 2 hours and a half, depending on the day, except on Wednesday when I come home very late, so it's basically less than an hour.
Okay.
But on weekends, I also play a bit during the afternoon, so we sometimes hit 3 hours and a half, divided between afternoon and evening.
Okay, so 14-15 hours about on average for the whole week usually. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. I think we could definitely, Grandmaster will definitely be tough, but it's doable. And I definitely think that keeping you a little bit more comfortably in Masters is certainly achievable with the amount of time that you're playing. Obviously, trying to play consistently is important. It sounds like you're doing a pretty good job of that already, even with all the real life stuff going on. So that's good. The challenge for you is definitely going to be your hero pool, because I'm with you. Whenever I play tank, I played a lot of Ryan back in the day, and then a lot of Winston. And then when Overwatch 2 came out, I really enjoyed the Overwatch 2 Orisa rework. And I also used to be, Sigma was actually probably my best tank for a while, and then also Ramattra's fun, and then I even played a little bit of in Zarya. You get it, right? It's like you said, it's the someone you're like, I want to play everything, I want to do a little bit of everything. So The challenge, though, is obviously, especially with tanks, is the mechanics for each of those heroes. The cooldowns, the movement, things like that are so very different and unique, even if the playstyles are similar. So like being able to quickly adjust to those can be a challenge. So here's what I will say. There's two ways of approaching it, okay? One, you don't change anything. You pick every tank, you just play whatever you feel like, whatever the matchup feels best, whatever map it is, whatever you feel like that day. And we really focus on your fundamentals of Overwatch, like your understanding of the game, regardless of what tank you're playing, support, deep, it doesn't matter. You just focus on the fundamentals so that your game sense, your decision making, maybe your mentality, all that stuff gets better, right? Or number two, we do that, but we can also work at something called dynamic hero pools. Have you heard me talk about that before?
Yeah, sometimes like I usually don't watch the streams because of time, but sometimes I check out your videos and yeah, I have heard that term.
Okay, so it's something that you might want to experiment with, one of those two strategies. I'm not sure which one would be better for you. So the dynamic hero pool is just basically you just pick 2 or 3 heroes and you only play those 2 or 3 heroes for like a month, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And then you're like, okay, I'm bored, or, you know, these heroes aren't strong anymore, or I'm not having fun with these heroes anymore. Now I'm gonna pick another 2 or 3 different heroes, and you pivot to totally different heroes. Maybe right now you play Winston, Sigma, Ramattra, then you do Winston, Sigma, D.Va, and then a month after that you do Ramattra, Orisa, you know, dare I say, Roadhog? I'm kidding. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like you play a lot of tanks, but you don't play a lot of tanks at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see.
But you don't necessarily have to do that. If that's not what, that would be the fastest way to improve for sure, but that might not be fun for you. It sounds like what you were saying earlier, that's not how you enjoy the game. You enjoy playing a lot. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'd honestly lean more towards like 3 tanks every month, let's say, would be already pretty rough.
Yeah,
because like
exactly.
even during one game, for example, depending on the map as well, I rotate between either like two to 4 tanks.
Yeah.
So, like I think in a game we were basically RPSing me and the other tank the whole time. I was like I started on Winston, he started on Zarya, but he goes D.Va, so I have to go Zarya. So he goes Reinhardt, I think. Like
yeah,
so
makes sense.
And we used like 5 ultimates the whole game because we kept swapping.
Right. Oh, well, I mean, okay, so at the very least, though, maybe something to kind of take away is that you might need to understand your playstyle adjustments into your quote-unquote counters, because obviously losing that much ult charge and making that many swaps within one game is just, it's not optimal, right? Like, it doesn't happen in the Overwatch League. It probably shouldn't be happening in your ranked games. And a lot of the RPS, like you were saying, is definitely over-exaggerated because people don't understand the matchups well enough. Like, Zarya counters D.Va, right? Well, yeah, on some maps and some situations, but if you're a good D.Va player, really that matchup is pretty dynamic, and you shouldn't just go, oh, they're on Zarya, I can't play D.Va. That's just dumb, right? So what we'll do is we'll look at this VOD that you have, I'm sure, in a bit, and we'll go like, what of these matchups are you missing? If they go, you know, Reinhardt, do you really have to swap off of Zarya? If not, then how do you have to play? And we'll talk about that. So what you could do is you could swap if you want to, if you're getting bored, but I want the swapping to be because I want to, not because I feel like I'm being countered. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if you feel like you're being countered, especially in like low masters, it's probably because you're just either bad or you don't understand the matchup, and we need to fix those things. Okay. Let's see here. Long-term, short-term goals in Overwatch. Long-term, improving, getting as far as I can, possibly Grandmaster. Short-term, fixing my inconsistency problems. I usually look either very good or very bad every other day. Okay. Let's talk about that. So the inconsistency, give me an example of that, especially one that's happened recently, maybe.
So, for example, when I told you that after hitting Masters, I fell down to Diamond 1, right there, I was playing horribly, honestly.
Okay.
But then I think it was 2 days after. Don't know how. Picked Ramattra, hard carried like 3 games in a row. 4th one I also played really well on some other heroes. Now I don't remember really well. But like I have really hard hot streaks and really hard cold streaks.
Okay. And how long do these streaks usually last?
Usually it's like 3 days at max. Like cold streaks, I noticed they'll last a lot less than the hot streaks.
Got it.
And they are, and then like, how do I say it? You usually when I have a hot streak, it's like I pop off a little less, I pop off still a little less, cold streak.
Got
While
it.
on the cold streaks, they're just, I'm bad. That's it.
Right. Okay, makes sense. And then, do you notice a pattern about any specific heroes that you play when those hot streaks or cold streaks, or is it just totally random?
So on Winston and Ramattra, they're actually two of my most consistent ones. Like I kind of rarely underperform on these two,
Mm-hmm.
but on everyone else, it's kind of random. I'd say maybe it's about my mental sometimes, where maybe the day hasn't gone really well, so I also don't play very well.
Right.
That's kind of what happens.
Sure. So let's talk about that a little bit more in detail here, because you've hit on a really important point, which is very complex. So the problem with inconsistency, as you're describing it, is there are just so many factors. It's equivalent of like waking up and feeling like you have a headache. Well, what is it? Indigestion? Did you not sleep well? Did you stare too much at a screen? Did your neck cranked? Your eyes tired? Are you stressed? There's so many factors. So what you need to do is you need to kind of look at each factor individually, try to identify if it applies to you, and work at making it better. And then accept that, at least to an extent, some inconsistency is unavoidable. So let's look at all the lines that might be contributing factors for you. So contributing factor number one for you. So we talked about attitude. Okay, so attitude, mentality, right? If you are frustrated or tilted, or let's say you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, that's going to make you play worse. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. I've worked with pro players, I've worked with bronze players. That's just how it works. So understanding that that's going to introduce some form of or some level of inconsistency. Number one. Okay, let's keep going though. For you, number two, you notice you said that I have less inconsistency on certain heroes. So here's the other thing as well, hero strengths. Now, for most people, this isn't as much of an issue because most people don't have such a beautiful hero pool like you do. But for you, you have a lot of heroes that you enjoy playing, which is awesome. However, it does mean that if you spend more time on, fill in the blank tank that maybe you're not quite as good at, then you're going to have a little bit of a harder time, which is going to give you the impression that I'm not playing as well, when the reality is that you're just not playing as well because you're just not quite as good at that hero. Make sense? Now, we can even add another thing on top of that, which we'll do, which is even adding on top of that is counters or maps. So in other words, if I'm playing, like, let's say Zarya, right? And they pick, I don't know, Winston, okay? Now, Zarya is quote-unquote countered by Winston, but like, let's say that your understanding of Zarya is incomplete. You don't know how to play versus Winston. You know how to play versus Orisa. You know how to play versus D.Va, but you don't know how to play versus Winston. And like, let's say you don't know how to play in, let's say, Shambali or Nepal as Zarya. So you pick Zarya because you want to pick Zarya, and then you roll out on an unlucky counter or an unlucky map, let's just say a matchup that you don't know how to do. Now, all of a sudden, you're playing badly as Zarya. Do you see that? But actually, you're not really playing badly as Zarya because you're just, it's an inconsistency problem. It's just bad luck. You just happen to not be playing very well on those particular counters and those particular maps. So we need to make you more a better understanding of maps, a better understanding of the hero, so that there's fewer bad circumstances. Now, that's not all. The other thing is just matchmaker RNG. And obviously you know all about this one, right? RNG matchmaking. You might get a teammate who is just tilted. And the funny thing is we talk about counters and maps. That's bad RNG for your teammates, right? Oh shoot, I got a Zarya player that doesn't know how to play versus a Winston, right? But that's how it happens, right? You get somebody that just starts off poorly. There's so much human element in the matchmaking that makes it happen. Now, one other thing I'm going to notice, and this is about the general streakiness of the matchmaking as a whole. Let's just say MMR, I'll use text here. MMR streakiness. So I actually talked about this just a few minutes ago, but it's essentially that right now, my impression from what has been confirmed by developers and also my experience is that your MMR and your SR as a result does, in Overwatch 1, it would do a lot of this, right? Right?
Yep.
In Overwatch 2, it's more like this. and it tends to I wouldn't say overreact, but it's a lot more sensitive to you losing a couple of games in a row or you winning a couple of games in a row. In other words, like let's say you have a day where you play, you're red hot, right? And you go on a win streak of like 6 and you go all the way up to Masters 3, okay? The game thinks that you're the greatest thing of all time, but maybe you aren't quite ready for Masters 3 yet. Maybe you're actually only Masters 4. So then the next day you pick a game, you go into a game, but you're a Masters 4 player and a Masters 3 MMR, Masters 3 lobby. How do you think you're going to play?
Well, obviously not as well.
Not as well.
It's likely that we can get stomped as a whole.
Right. So then what happens is then you don't play as well. You get stomped. The game goes, oh, shoot, this guy is not so good. And you're also combining that with your response to how you aren't playing so well. Maybe you get tilted. Maybe you get frustrated. Maybe you lose confidence. And then now you're playing even worse. And then that's when you go all the way to Diamond 2. And then at Diamond 2, the game is overreacted and placed you in Diamond 2 when you're not actually Diamond 2 necessarily, just that day. And then the next day or after a couple of days, what happens? You queue in a Diamond 2 lobby and you've reset your mental, your Masters 3 player in a Diamond 2 lobby. What do you think is going to happen?
50k damage on Ramattra,
yes.
8 annihilations per round.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I guess for you, here's what we need to do. Here's what we can fix. All right, let's do this one in blue. We could fix or improve this. We can, even if you're the type of guy that wants to pick all the tanks and just be random, pick whatever, we can make it so that even with your weaker tanks, you have a better understanding of the matchups. So there's fewer times where you're doing absolutely trash. We can make this better, right? Maybe there's a map where you're really bad at. We make your weak points stronger so that there's less variance in your play. Make sense?
Yep.
This we can't fix. This we also can't fix. But we can also realize that both of these things are issues, and honestly, that even this is an issue. And ironically, being aware that this is an issue, and especially that these are issues, can actually help this become less of an issue. In other words, if I know that matchmaking might be RNG or that things tend to be streaky, I'm not going to be scared if I drop to Diamond 1 or Diamond 2 or Diamond 3, right? And I'm also not going to get too overconfident and too egotistical if I climb the Masters 2, because I know, it tends to go up and down. I can also go, I'm having a really bad day today. I'm getting frustrated or depressed or I'm not confident. That's normal. Everybody struggles with that, even Overwatch League players. So I don't need to be worried if I'm unconfident. That's okay. Let's just make today a good practice day, even if I lose most of my games, and we'll go at it again tomorrow. And even just a little bit of that is going to make your play look less like this and more like this. And that's what we want, right? Now, The reason why we want to fix inconsistency is not because, we don't like inconsistency. The reason why we don't want inconsistency is generally when you're getting unconfident and doing things like this is bad practice. Because when you're tilted or frustrated or not confident, it's bad practice. It's not that, you're losing games, because we don't care about losing games. You're always going to lose games. You're always going to eventually find somewhere close to a 50% win rate, depending on the rank, right? But we don't want to have days where you're not as good of a practice because you don't understand matchups. You're getting tilted at the matchmaking. You're getting tilted at your loss streak. You're getting tilted at your own play. This is what we need to fix, because we need to understand that inconsistency happens. Even if you're playing badly, we still need to stay focused. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the goal for you, is to understand that this is normal. Accept it. Try and work at your weaknesses with your matchups and your understanding. And then don't worry if you have a bad day. It doesn't matter if you plummet 2 or 3 ranks. You'll be right back again soon afterwards. Totally fine. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any questions with any of that?
Not really.
Okay.
We can go on.
Okay, let's keep going. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? Most tend to get easily depressed by losing or underperforming. Well, we talked a little bit about that, right? But I think the main problem comes from me not figuring out certain situations. See? That's it right there. That's it. We just talked about that, didn't we? We talked about that, your inconsistency sometimes coming through certain matchups or certain situations that you don't know what to do. So not only do you perform poorly, but you also get frustrated at it, which doubles the inconsistency. You see?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Sleep is pretty good. Obviously 7 is not bad. 8 could be better. I don't really have any other questions for myself. Do you have any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. Do you have a code for me? Maybe you already posted it.
Yes, I do. I'll actually take one from some games I played today, like this one on Rialto.
Mm-hmm.
I also really hope codes work across servers, because if it doesn't, I'm on EU and we are screwed.
You should be fine. As
All
far
right.
as I know,
Here it
they're
is.
cross servers. I've coached a lot of people in Thailand and Singapore, so it should be fine.
Okay, good.
All right. In that far off, wacky world of Australia as well. So, okay. I think we're good. Let me get the streaming rolling here. So, what tanks are you here? Is this more, a little bit of some of the swaps in here? I see D.Va, Sigma, Zarya.
Yeah,
this will be
yeah.
good.
Well, I was trying quite a lot of stuff, and a lot based on
Sure.
what matchups.
Sure. Ramattra. Well, see, this is good because even if we look at this and go, okay, you should not have been swapping as much as you did, even for somebody that likes swapping as you, like, right? We'll talk about that. But this is a good representation of your gameplay. So there's a lot to learn from. Okay, let me get this pulled up here. I'm gonna play a little bit of the audio. Let me know if this is too loud or too quiet. Is that okay?
Yeah. It's cool.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so let's talk about D.Va. We'll do a quick rundown of each hero that you play. Why are you picking D.Va here? What's the strengths of D.Va?
So first of all, she's like probably the best peeler in the game right now, especially against dive.
Yeah.
And also because of all these mini high grounds on the Rialto first point, I picked her because she can easily drop down, shoot a little, go back up. Like she's really mobile on like small lanes.
Yes.
If you can say that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely. She's a good peeler. She's good at controlling space. She's good at 1v1s. She can take any, like for example, you might not want to 1v1 to Sigma, but if the Widow takes the high ground, you can deal with her. If the Soldier takes the high ground, you can deal with her. If the Ana goes in the flank, you can deal with her. If for whatever reason the Kiriko is taking a hard flank, you can deal with her too, right? Okay.
Oh, she did.
What is it?
She was going Violet mode.
She was?
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? They have the Ana Sigma. I mean, what else is Kiriko going to do, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they need the healing here. Now, one thing this is one of the fundamentals of tank. This is probably the most important thing that you could do as a tank, period, okay? Is timing. Timing as in putting your pressure at the same time as your team, okay? So then the question to time correctly is to make sure that your teammates are able to fight at the same time as you are. Because you are fighting right now, correct? But the question is your Pharmacy and your Hanzo and your Kiriko fighting at that same time? You tell me.
So Farah's poking main, obviously, and here her Hanzo was checking for the Widow, which I didn't know was there, honestly. But, like,
right. But this looks okay, right?
Much.
This looks okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's keep going. Now, the second most important thing that you could be doing as a tank is deciding where to put your pressure. So once you know where your team is set up and where we're fighting, like right now, we're fighting in this vicinity here. Once you answer that, the next question is okay, then who should I be shooting? Whether that's with my Reinhardt hammer, my Orisa gun, my Zarya gun, whatever the question may be. So right now, is this the most important thing for you to be shooting right now, the Sigma? Is this the highest return on an investment?
Absolutely not, but he was kind of the only one I had sight on, so I can kind of get tunnel vision a lot.
Yes, so in a lot of the time that you will be spending a lot of time shooting tank because the other tank or the other DPS and supports are very far away. For example, I guess you could maybe flank on this Widowmaker here. That might be something to consider with D.Va because of the composition, because that your team is fighting. This might be worth going for, but it's tougher, right? You definitely couldn't go for the Ana. You definitely couldn't go for the Kiriko. Now, this is the important thing here. I want you to. We're gonna cheat. We're gonna turn on a third-person view, and we're gonna watch. Do you see it?
You mean the flanking soldier? Yeah.
Yes. This is something that you can and should deal with. Now, to be able to deal with this, you have to expect it. You have to anticipate it. You have to even essentially just predict that it's going to happen in the first place. Does that make sense? So my point here is that you are totally fine with shooting Sigma. It's okay. But you need to be expecting this Kiriko, expecting this Widowmaker, expecting this Soldier to take these angles and flanks, because as a D.Va player, you would be very happy to not shoot Sigma and to shoot anything else, right? So think about that, not only because it's important for you to do damage to these heroes, but because if you don't stop them from doing these things, they will kill your team. So not only is it from a pressure doing damage mindset, but also, as you said at the beginning, the peeling as well. And the problem here is you go, okay, I'm peeling, but in a way, that Soldier, I mean, you know, actually, maybe it wouldn't have mattered that much, but you see, this Soldier theoretically could have been what forced your Mercy to go out into the open and then got her killed. But regardless, it's controlling this angle, controlling the space, pressuring your backline, and even now hard flanking and killing your Pharah. And what are we doing? We're trading with the Sigma on main. This is not a total waste of our time, but it's not the highest return on investment for the hero we're playing. You see that?
Yeah, it's another problem I kind of have to deal with, where I kind of get tunnel visioned.
Yes.
So for example, if I saw the Soldier flanking earlier, I would have probably dashed on him.
Yes.
And let's say the Sigma maybe just walked on my team. If I was still dealing with the Soldier, I would have got tunnel visioned on the Soldier and wouldn't notice the Sigma.
So it would be about pressuring the Soldier, maybe making him run back to his team, and then now he's no longer aggressive, now he's no longer killable, so then go back and turn your attention on Sigma. But even in the back of your mind going, okay, here we go, the Soldier's going to come back out again. So one of the expressions that I use with D.Va is whack-a-mole. There's like, have you ever played that like little goofy game at like an arcade? Yeah, that's what it is. It's whoever's the most aggressive and whoever's the most punishable, you need to punish, but don't, like you said, you don't hit the same mole over and over and over again. You hit a mole, you reset. Where's the next mole? Oh, there's that. Hit that one and the next one. And because you have such good mobility, that's something that you need to be doing. Right now, you tunneled on tank, you didn't play whack-a-mole, and now you're paying for it. And the important thing with this is that D.Va is very good at that because you're very mobile, but honestly, this isn't just a D.Va thing. This is just a tank thing in general. For example, if I was playing Reinhardt, I'd be swinging on Sigma. If Sigma backs off and Soldier starts to walk forward and flank, I might even pin back on that Soldier. Okay.
Yep.
So obviously here, you know, D-Mech probably could have grabbed the Mega, would have probably been the better idea, but I think we just move on to the next fight. Alrighty, let's keep going. And then here's the swap. Now, Sigma's the same thing. It's a whack-a-mole, but instead of you actually having to fly to that location, you only have to shoot that location, right? So right now, you shoot Sigma because there's nothing else going aggressively. But if there was a Soldier that peeked out here, better return on investment to shoot up here, right?
Yep.
And so you're doing it correctly. That's really good. I would probably take...
Sigma, Sigma can I get tunnel vision less because of his nature? Like I stay more on the back. I have a wider line of sight.
Yes.
And you know, shield as well.
Yes. Now, why I'm so critical that you understand this is because this is something that if you're going to be a flex tank, right, you're going to need to be able to do this well.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I would say though. Okay, you can continue to shoot Sigma, but what if you took high ground here and started to just basically hard pressure their backline?
Yeah, it probably would have been a better idea. Here, I kind of saw the Sigma being isolated, so I tried really hard to confront the kill on him.
Right. So this is the tricky part because the Sigma is being way more aggressive than the rest of his team. So if you focus the Sigma here, then you can absolutely kill the Sigma. That's totally fine. But you could also say like, you guys deal with the Sigma. I'm gonna go kill the backline by myself. It's up to you. I honestly don't really care which one you go for. I think this is probably the fine play right here.
I actually think, I went for the backline in the end exactly because I didn't want the Sigma to receive support. But like,
yes,
it was. I was trying to kill the Sigma indirectly. I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to research my thought process.
Yeah. And I think your thought process is fine. I think you could have just done it a little bit better with how you used your cooldowns and how you positioned. And obviously, if you're gonna like control the Sigma and control backline, maybe you could control the backline from here, you know, and then spam the Sigma or something. I don't love where you're positioned right now, but
yep.
Yeah. Okay. This is mostly fine. Certainly at the start of the VOD when you were shooting the Soldier, and then even when you shot the volley at the Widow. Remember when the Widow was like here, and you stopped shooting Sigma to shoot the Widow? That's exactly what we want to see, right? That was really good. It's good. I mean, there's not a lot you could do here. It's a good rock, good pressure. I mean, that's huge, right? This is what we were missing on D.Va to an extent. I know it was a little bit harder, but this soldier, you could be shooting Sigma all the live long day, but you're not. You're shooting the soldier. And it was hard, but you did it. And you got the kill. And now this fight is actually winnable. I mean, you're deadlifting this fight. This is brilliant play. And then now you're going, okay, Widowmaker, but Widowmaker's too far away, so I'm gonna turn my attention to the Sigma Kiriko.
Yep.
So it's really good. How good is your Sigma compared to your other tanks?
He's probably like mechanically, he's probably my best, I'd say. Okay. Mostly because on Winston, I'm not that good on Primal Rage, and that's basically all his mechanics.
True.
But he's more of a like he suffers more from the hot and cold thing. Like he's way less consistent than Makir and Ramattra.
Yeah. Now I have a suspicion as to why that might be the case. It's not personal, so maybe it's wrong. But I've noticed when I play Sigma that there are a lot of heroes and maps that feel very difficult to play Sigma into. So it might be that the inconsistency is more of a matchup thing or an understanding thing, and less of you're just inconsistent at the hero. Because right now your Sigma is pretty solid mechanically. Go ahead.
Yeah, it could be probably about the understanding, because I watch a lot of pro Overwatch, so when I see pros playing a lot of Sigma on the map, like Sector Royale, okay, that is a Sigma map.
Yes,
Sigma is one of my best. Insta pick Sigma.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I will say here, this is what you're doing here is like okay-ish, but even from the whack-a-mole perspective, like I don't know if that I would even drop the Chase of Sigma here, because you're not. It's gonna be so hard to get back up to high. And now the Kiriko is up here, which you should be able to spam, and you should be able to shield these guys in high ground. It's just probably not worth your time.
Yeah, I realized the 3 seconds later. Yeah, there I noticed I shouldn't have dropped.
Yeah. It's just the Sigma's not a threat, and he's not really killable, so just why bother? Nice rock. Love the attention that you're giving to these snipers. If you can get the kill, yeah.
Yeah, I also figured this was my fastest route back to card where my team was fighting, so I just went for it.
Yep, true.
Also with it as well.
You know, sometimes you sacrifice to get a kill. You know, a kill is a very important thing. I mean, there's not as much to say here. The one thing I will say is just it's good occasionally. This kind of goes back to my very first point with Tank, to be aware of exactly where people are. So like right now, what you're doing is probably fine. Just be very, very aware that your snipers technically aren't really fighting for this space here. So they're not even peeking out here. So you could spam here, but just don't die on this spot. You know, it looks like your snipers are more living to kind of play for this angle out here. You see? Just be aware of that. And then this is insanity.
Yep. I think I actually didn't mean to drop it, just fell down.
Okay. Then you know, we can live with that. Mistakes happen. Okay. Oh, nice. Scary. I like the focus on Hanzo there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really get scared that my team would get wiped here, so I just went for the flux.
I think it was totally reasonable. Now, why the Zarya swap? I don't think it's a bad swap, but I want to make sure I understand it.
Because I wanted to have a better matchup with the Tracer, so I could bubble someone in if they get hard engaged.
Okay, so you're thinking about so this is interesting to me. So you are better versus the Tracer as Zarya, okay, and maybe the Tracer has been a problem. I want you to look at their composition. Who else is a problem in their composition? The top right. What else is a threat?
So Hanzo can obviously headshot everyone, and then they also dropped to Hog, which I didn't notice when I dropped to Zarya.
But even consider it from the Sigma perspective and the Ana perspective as well. How good is Sigma at dealing with an enemy Ana, Hanzo, and Sigma?
I'd say very good, especially because of the Hanzo. Like you put a shield in front of him, and he suddenly has to reposition.
Yes, sure. Now compare that to Zarya versus those 3 heroes.
She's way worse because obviously she's just there with the bubbles. But I figured that the Hanzo wasn't getting as much value as the Tracer, so I just said fuck it.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. See, this is where I think you need to be very careful about your swap strategy, because obviously the hog is like, that's unfortunate timing, you know, whatever, go next. But you're thinking about Tracer, but you're only thinking about Tracer, I think, right now. If you consider this from the perspective of like, even looking at the rest of the enemy team, right, and looking at the choke and looking at the map, Sigma's fine, right? There's not like a lot of high ground that you gotta like levitate around with. It's not like the Zarya has like that much better of a matchup versus their tank line and versus their supports. So versus the Tracer, sure, but how about you let the Tracer do her thing and you prevent all follow-up from the rest of her backline by playing Sigma?
Yeah,
you know
could also work.
Yeah, it's I don't think the Zarya is necessarily a bad swap. It's a flat, short sightline map. Totally works for Zarya. But again, this kind of goes into the mentality of where the swapping is fine if that's what you want to play. If you want to play Zarya because it's fun, I'm okay with that. But I don't want this to be a lack of understanding or I feel like I have to swap kind of an idea. And obviously the hog is like, you know, not a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I also dropped to Oriza doing the last fight exactly because of the hog.
Right, makes sense. So let's talk about Zarya. So the same thing goes with Zarya, right? Where's my team fighting? Well, obviously here you can literally see your Hanzo, your Kiriko. This is fine, right? Mm-hmm. And then where's the game of whack-a-mole? Where's your pressure best put right now? You tell me.
Right now, I could have seen the Kiriko, and I think I will actually go for her. I mean, in a few seconds.
Sure.
And obviously there's the Hanzo right there who I can spam with the bombs.
Yep, I really think either one is fine. I think either the Hanzo or the Kiriko are totally fine, right?
Yeah, but I can come up here and go really hard.
Now, one thing we are going to talk about with bubbles. Using a little bit of bubble for charge when you're confirmed for the damage is fine. I don't want proactive bubbles like this, almost ever. I want the bubble to be as a result of them pushing you or as a result of them pushing your team. Bubbles reactively 90% of the time are better, unless you see a massive amount of damage coming in and you want to greed one. Because the problem now is you're pushing the Kiriko, but what did that bubble do for you?
Nothing, I lost 5 energy.
Right? Worst case scenario, you turn the corner, you get headshot by Kiriko because you didn't bubble. Doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. The problem though now is what could you do with bubble right now?
Yeah, I could have bubbled the Mercy.
You could have bubbled the Mercy. The other thing you could have done, like let's say the Tracer doesn't go aggressively, is you would have had a bubble for your own selfish purposes. If that Hanzo goes too aggressively, you now can walk in and punish that Hanzo because you have that second bubble, right? It's what allows you to either peel your team's aggression from the enemy team or to enable your own aggression, and now you don't have bubble.
Yeah, bubble timings are easily my worst thing about Zarya.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Because especially in Overwatch 1, you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to build some charge, but especially with the charge decay rate in Overwatch 2, getting preemptive charge is not as valuable. It's more important to use your bubbles as the opportunity presents. I'd rather have you at 0 charge and then be 80 charge when the fight starts than using your bubbles before the fight starts, not having your bubbles, and then, oh, I got a little bit of extra poke damage because I was 45 charge. You know, who cares? You're going to be high charge when it actually matters. I'd also be careful about your cover usage here too. Like, you're going to take a lot of extra damage if you're not careful. The Hanzo, obviously attention is optimal. I'm glad we're not just shooting hog. Now we shoot hog because why? Whack-a-mole, right?
Yep.
Yeah, look at how aggressive he is. Now we should stop shooting hog, right?
Yeah, here I think I'm gonna just run away because, you know, nano hog.
Sure. That's fine. But even here, if you're running away, get out, right? If you're not running away and you're fighting, I would stop shooting hog, correct? Who should you be shooting instead?
Literally anyone behind him. Kiriko is probably the only one in range of my primary fire.
Right.
Yeah. We can actually see the beam, I think, going through the hog and
yeah. It's hard, but you had to make a decision there, and you made the wrong one. So okay, let's keep going. Whoops, I dropped my earbuds. Give me a second. It's been a scuffed review. Hang on. Okay, I just popped my earbuds right on my ear, so I was like, okay. It's the worst. I did that one time when I was mopping a floor, like years ago, and the mop bucket popped like my earbuds or whatever, and it flipped my phone out of my pocket where I was listening to music, and it plunked right into the bucket of water. It just did like, it was disaster. It was like a triple backflip, and I'm just like slow motion, I'm like no, and then it just goes plunk right in there. It's disastrous.
Physics, by the way.
Yeah, slam dunk jokes. Okay, but yeah, anyway. So I don't know. I assume that this goes pretty poorly, so I won't sweat too much about the Orisa.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we can honestly just skip this because this is going to be a short-lived defense.
Yeah, that was the ball swap to touch, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. So let's keep looking at the Sigma here. So why Sigma?
Mostly. I'm trying to retrace my thought process.
Sure.
But I think here I noticed that I didn't do very well on Zarya. I did kinda well on D.Va, and I didn't do anything on Orisa. So I noticed I could have got maybe more value on Sigma.
Sure. Makes sense. This is one of the smaller issues I do have with your mentality, though. Not necessarily like getting tilted or whatever, but for example, your impression of your Zarya play, I think, is if you didn't do well in Zarya, you need to find out what did I not do, and then therefore I need to practice that and do that better. At least if you want to get better at Zarya, right?
Yep.
So the problem here is it's like, okay, so your bubble usage wasn't, obviously you didn't necessarily know at the time, but you should be looking at these things moving forward. Okay, was my cover usage good? Was my target priority good? Was I just using my bubbles for the sake of using it? Okay, then I need to practice that. So the Zarya was fine, we just needed to do some things better, but now we're running away from that and we're going back to what we felt like we did well at. But even if you feel like, oh, I did well at Sigma, okay, well then when you roll out a spawn, you still need to be thinking, what do I need to be doing better as Sigma? Like right now, compared to your defense, what should you be trying to do better on this offense? Obviously, going back in time here, but think about it. What could you have done better in Sigma on your defense?
Probably target priority and not just going in on their faces,
yes,
like I did a lot on the second point. Right.
So being a little bit more patient to just drop into the middle of them. So that, but it's always practice, right? It's always practice. So if you want to play Zarya here, if you want to play Roadhog, or I don't care what you want to play. If you feel like I feel like this hero is better, still think about what you need to be doing better with that hero. Even if it's more of a strategic decision, you still have to be thinking like, okay, what do I need to be actually executing with Sigma here? Nice. I appreciate the attentiveness with the flank. Obviously, it's hard. Nice. So Tracer's a tough one because obviously, like, it's very helpful to shoot a shot at her, but she is very hard to shoot. So I wouldn't. let's put it this way: I wouldn't chase Tracer almost ever. If there's something else to shoot, but I would turn around and throw a volley at her. So let's put it this way. Right here, Sigma's in your front line, whatever. I would do this, but I wouldn't run after her. I would just kind of sit here and then immediately go back and turn and shoot back on the Sigma or back on the Hanzo. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
You're just not fast enough, and I'm too scared of what the Hanzo or Sigma will do to your backline if you put too much attention on the Tracer. So it's like the whack-a-mole, but also remember you only smack the moles that you can actually whack, right? Tracer's a very hard mole to whack. It might be better to whack a mole on the Ana or the Hanzo. Right now, though, Hanzo. Or Ana. Yes, I love this. See, like this here, this is a mistake. The Kiriko is definitely playing aggressively, but I'm more concerned about what this Kiriko is going to allow this Hanzo to do. You see?
Yep.
I think it's tough, but I would prefer you to know the Kiriko's in your backline, shoot the Hanzo, and then turn on the Kiriko. Make sense?
Yeah, I probably did this because my shield was almost down, so I noticed I couldn't do much against the Hanzo and Sigma, so just turn around and started shooting her.
But you notice that they can absolutely still shoot you right now. You're not exactly hiding from them, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well be looking at them to see if they can shoot you. Because the other thing is, if you don't shoot the Hanzo, then the Hanzo stands still and plays Kovacs, right? Shoot the Hanzo, make a move. And then even here, right? This is not the proper target. This guy's right here. This guy's right here. These are the real threats to your team right now.
Yep. True.
And ultimately, the Kiriko kills your backline. There's really nothing you can do about that. But you should have been, both of these guys should be dead. At least the Hanzo should be dead. So it should be very much Kiriko's killing backline, and Ana is flaming the Kiriko in voice chat for not peeling her because the Sigma's killing her. That's what you want to create. Meanwhile, you broke the Sigma shield a little bit, right? not the best, right?
Value, yay!
Yay, value. And a lot of the times, obviously that's going to be what you have to do, but that's only because there's nothing else to do. You shoot Sigma shield. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, jeez, that noise is obnoxious. I think it's an audio setting, but I've seen a lot of people have it in the replay viewer, not just me, so I'm not sure what setting it is.
I don't know.
Good try. I mean, it's just not a lot to shoot there. Maybe turning attention on Hanzo, but there's not a lot you could have done there. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they also use the 4 ultimates, so not much to do.
Not a lot. I love the Hanzo pressure here. Whoopsies. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So, where's your team right now?
Probably a lot behind me, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not feeding, but I want you to wait 2 seconds before you do this. 3 seconds. And what that will do is that will allow you to build a little bit of your shield charge back, conserve a little bit of your HP, and make sure that your team can follow up on this flux. Make sense?
Yeah.
Comes back to the very first fight with D.Va. That was the question that we asked. Where's your team? Did you know where your team is? I weep with you because I know how it feels.
Yeah. Sometimes they happen.
You just gotta pick somebody, right? You just gotta pick somebody. Right here, it should just be Ana, Hanzo, or just Sigma. Now, Sigma is generally not a very good flux target if he has shift, but he doesn't, so maybe he would be okay. I don't know. Whoops. Disaster. Surely we'll kill the Sigma. Surely. If we keep focusing the Sigma, eventually he'll die, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, but you got Nano, right? So it's like, here is this another situation where it's like, yes, you goofed the flux, but mate, he's right here, and you're nanoed. And the funny thing is as you turn your back to the Ana, look at what happens. Slept.
Yeah.
And then everybody, and then your Hanzo, their Hanzo literally walks into your backline. Yeah, but yeah, that's the main point there. So just a little bit of that whack-a-mole, and this is why I was so obsessive about it, is because you've seen it's been a problem with your Zarya, it's been a problem with your D.Va, it's been a problem with your Sigma, and that's good. That's what we want, because that means that it doesn't matter what tank you're playing. This is a broad skill set that you can work at as a whole, right? And if you want to keep your tank flexibility and be able to pick things like Ramattra, well, then this is going to be important too. And here's the fun thing about Ramattra too. It also applies to Ramattra, yep. Right? You're pretty good at shooting shields. You're pretty good at shooting tanks. You know, you can punch right through Sigma's shield, but it's always going to be a question of, is that the highest return on investment? So we'll find out. All right, let's get Sigma out of there. You're gonna win that HP trade. Probably just block here. I would probably just block here and chill. You've created some space. Wait for your next cooldown cycle, right? No need to force anything.
Yeah, I think of it. Yeah. In fact, I just block and shield.
You got a little low though. Probably would have done it a little bit earlier. Because you see here, it's like as soon as the Nemesis form is down, you're cooked, right? You're absolutely cooked. And I will say one other little thing. If I turn my camera around right now, what am I going to see? I can smell it.
My whole team right there.
No, he's not even there.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to be honest. It's not terrible because you do have your Hanzo and your Cassidy and your Mercy with you. But we're so, like, your Life Weaver just has zero chance to do anything, right? Just zero chance. Like, if you'd given them literally 2 seconds, this would have probably worked out a lot better. So tank fundamentals, it's not flashy, it's not sexy, but you know it's important. It's exactly what you need to work at. Nice.
Yeah, TLDR turn around.
Basically, right before you fight. Because once you start punching as Ramattra, it's too late. Because you got to focus, right? You got to focus. But you need to give yourself the favor by giving yourself as much information as possible before you go. Now, this is good. Your team is obviously fighting. You're using Nemesis form to get to point fast. You punch the Hanzo. Brilliant. Now you go Sigma because there's nothing else to shoot. You force Nano. Now you just need to survive. I will say I might turn around here and see if there was something else to shoot, but I get it. He's in your face, so it's not the end of the world. So ironically, the best fight that you have had with Ramattra is the one that you died. Oh, do it. Do it. Oh, wait. You guys actually might win this.
Yeah, we do win this.
You know why you won it, right? I used it earlier. You deadlifted. You played great. You played really well. Great focus on the Hanzo. Great mechanics on the Sigma. Good use of cover. Great discipline focusing the Kiriko there, so then setting up your Ramattra ult afterwards. Really, really well done.
Yeah, that my team hard-parted me and I could survive through all of that and don't get an 2K.
Yeah, you played brilliantly there. That was really good. A hero is really good to spam. She will hate your life. Just keep spamming right at head height. Like right now, screw the ball. Who cares about the ball? I wouldn't even... Like, I don't even know that I would be Eing... okay, E in the ball is probably fine. There's nothing else better to do with it. But I don't even know that I'd be shooting the ball. I'd just be like, keep shooting the Widow. Keep shooting the Ana, Hanzo, Kiriko from here. Just complete juices.
I think you're going to like what you're about to see.
I'm loving what I'm about to see right now. This is good. Look at this. Little bit of just the range issue, right?
Yes, I mean, if you never single pummel.
Well, I mean, it was more about you were just, I don't think you judged the distance properly, right? I think you were just a teeny bit too far. But this is like, this poor ball has lived for years, and yet, what is the showed for it, right? You dove his backline better than he dove yours, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens.
I mean, I'm a Gladiators fan. I watched Dante. We all know how he plays Ramattra.
Oh yeah. Nice. Now, Hog is a tricky one because, especially as like a Ramattra or Sigma, he is such a fat and juicy target to shoot. And I actually do think that in terms of the whole corny whack-a-mole analogy, you doing damage to Hog is fairly decent, right? It's going to force a lot of ult charge. It's going to force a lot of healing support. So let's put it this way. If the Hog is standing out in the open, it's fine to shoot the Hog. It's fine to shoot the Hog. Like right now, I probably think what you did there in terms of your attention, was probably the best. Just don't get hooked, right? Ha!
Good.
I love this so much. Now, yes! Look at you go! You're doing so well! Look at this, like, you're like, okay, the Hog is here, he's kind of hard to shoot. You know what, I'm gonna zone out this Ana, and then maybe I assume you're probably gonna walk up here with Nemesis and try and beat up the Kiriko, right? See? Look at that. That's okay. Probably would have kept the attention on the Ana first, and maybe even thrown a shield at her before I did this. And then now, definitely, you know, screw the Hogman. Like, find that Kiriko, find that Ana, find the Genji. Do not look at this Hog.
I think I tried to protect my team, kind of like getting in his way, so that he can shoot only me and not the enemy.
That's true. But even then, you have to be careful because look at what happened while you were doing this. Obviously, it's not always going to be like this, but do consider this. Yeah, getting Genji does my backline and gets a pick. Right? Could have helped that. A little bit of pressure. And then ultimately the Hog gets the kill anyway, and you know, whatever. So there are circumstances where that's the case. I think, like especially if you were like a Reinhardt or you had Sigma Shield, something to consider. But you know, that being said, a lot of these fights you've done a really good job of it. So nice work. How good? Who is Ramattra? One of your stronger heroes? Yeah. Okay. Huh. Makes sense, right? It's not just the mechanics though either. At least from what little we've seen, you do a much better job of focusing the right things. Now, I want you to go high ground.
Yeah, it would have been probably the better idea.
Right, okay. And the reason why that is why. Don't even think about it from like a philosophical Overwatch macro strategy thing. Just think about why go high ground.
There are 3 people on the high ground, and like...
I like these targets.
And down there.
I like these targets, right? Couldn't care less about this target most of the time, right? So it's where you find squishies, right? And this obviously is really hard, right? So where's the Hanzo? Thankfully, the Hanzo runs in front of you, but you know, I will say as well. Go ahead. Your team is also up here too, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I actually got scared of the clock, so I like really didn't want to C9. But then again, that high ground is really close to the card, so I could just
30 seconds as well. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah! Big clutch from our guy.
What a beautiful pull. I was gonna make another snide comment about focusing tanks. Yes! Yes! Now you could pop it even now, maybe? Maybe you might not even need to. Yeah, you think you're okay-ish? Aw, deflected E, disaster.
Yeah.
It's okay, I think
we kept though. Yeah.
Okay. Then obviously Ramattra's gonna feel really good here. I like the attention on the Kiriko here. I mean, really, truly, like, I know the Hog, as we talked about, is not a bad target to shoot, but the Kiriko is right here. It's worth it to force her TP out, right? This is good. This is really good. Just be careful about your HP. Uh-oh. Yeah.
The column.
Yeah.
I was coming with the column.
Yeah. So it's just a little far, you see?
Yeah.
Just a little far, given where your team. So everything kind of comes back to those 2 fundamentals, then you got caught on the column, like you said, so. Yes, okay. Next fight. No! Wait. Did you pop ultimate here?
Yeah, I think I did.
Oh.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a dumbass.
Alright, that happens. Alright, surely you're gonna kill 6 with the wrist. I'm playing this at 2 speed just so we can enjoy this. You ready? Actually, you know what? Let's enjoy it in normal speed. Oh no, they have 5 ults.
yeah.
Oh, no.
It's not happening.
Oh no. Crap, man. Oh, okay, there's 1, there's 2. There's 3, there's 4. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot. Yeah. Could have avoided the dragon to save your fortify later, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna let the next person know that we're running over, and then we can talk about what your goals are. Running.
Yeah.
Okay, so, pretty simple, right? Not easy, but simple. Lots of things to talk about. What are the main goals? Let's just put tank. I'm so used to saying Zarya or Tracer or Ana, but no, for you it's just tank. What are the goals?
So obviously be more aware of my team's positioning and act accordingly. Also target priority. Or like I should identify who's a like bigger threat to my team, and who can I realistically pressure and get value from.
And that's it. That's really truly it. I think for you, it's like, at least in terms of just your gameplay, those 2 things were by far the biggest, most important things that you could be improving at. And the nice thing, as we saw, is that literally applies to literally every single tank. Now, there's definitely some nuance, right? You know, a Ramattra Sigma does feel more comfortable shooting a Roadhog, but a Reinhardt definitely doesn't really want to spend a lot of time messing with a Roadhog. Or if I'm playing Zarya, I probably don't want to be shooting the enemy Reinhardt. Or if I'm playing D.Va and they're playing Winston, glory be. That's a very easy tank trade that I can be pressuring. But if they're playing Zarya, I need to do everything but shoot the Zarya unless she doesn't have bubbles, right? And so you could see how, like, it's a simple thing, but it's not easy to apply because there are a lot of if this, but that, and what about, you know. So I guess for you, it's, I think you have the general understanding of why this is a priority and what's important about it. It's just going to be about actually, like, getting to the point to where you can do this without having to think as much about it. So you need to think about it. You need to put pressure on it. You need to really, really be focused on these things moving forward so that a lot of them kind of become more natural to you, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, just one about Zarya.
Sure.
But like, I've noticed that when I try to go to a lot for reactive bubbles, because I notice I'm not getting a lot of energy down from proactive bubbles. Like, how do I identify the perfect timing to actually bubble? Because like sometimes I'm really scared of taking way too much damage and just imploding.
Yeah. Well, you need to know if you are actually fighting or they are pushing on you or a teammate, it's fine to bubble. It's fine to bubble. It's going to come with time to know about when, but when you start actively taking damage, then you are going to need to bubble yourself. A lot of, especially like selfish Zarya play, if you don't need to like peel your backline, is like taking aggressive positions with both of your bubbles and doing a lot of damage. And then they're like, oh, this Zarya is feeding, let's kill her. And then you have 2 bubbles, right? So it's like trying to anticipate, putting yourself in positions where you can bubble yourself aggressively because you know they're going to push you. If they don't push you, you're going to just kill them. Or going, hey, that comp is going to ignore me. They're going to try and go for my backline. So I'm going to take an aggressive position and either bait myself or shoot them aggressively and then bubble my backline when they do go for my backline. I know that's not really a very clear answer to your question, but it's mostly, it just comes with time. It just comes with time. Unfortunately, that's not something that you might get a lot of, but at least if you're thinking a little bit more about it, it will hopefully be a little bit more efficient practice. So you'll get better a little bit faster.
Yeah, I see. Also, like, I've picked up the Zarya fairly recently. Like, I used to be really bad at Zarya. Like, I was better at Hog than Zarya. Then I woke up one day and I was good.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
You're a freak of nature, I guess. Maybe this is the inconsistency. You're actually a superhero. We just don't know it yet. Maybe you should. Here's what you should try. Every time you log into Overwatch, try like all, however, 34, 35, whatever heroes in the practice range. And one of them, you're not going to miss a single shot. You'll be like, oh, I guess today I'm a Zenyatta one trick. And you're going to be like top 500 Zenyatta. And then tomorrow, top 500 Mercy. Tomorrow, the day after that, it'll be like the best Roadhog in the world. And there you go. You'll be picked up for an Overwatch League team, and they have to just shift their macro or their meta every single day, depending on what you play. Oh, well, I guess today, Vibe is now a support player, so I guess we're playing support, guys. That's funny.
I mean, mirror from the Justice.
True.
That's him.
Yeah, true. You never know what he's going to be on. Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah. All right. Any other questions, mate?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome.